asks the question, I'd like to know if all people have this experience of fear. Well, I assume, just in the many experiences with many people that I've had through my life, both in all the relationships, starting with my parents, brothers, sisters, and friends, and all through my life, and also the clients that I've worked with, yeah, most people experience fear this way, but we could do an informal poll here. Do the people in our circle here experience fear like this? Okay. Red says time is always changing. After bad times, good times will follow, and after good times, bad times will follow. Well, that's true. The Buddha says that all things are impermanent, so no matter what's happening to you, just let it ride and it's going to change. The Buddha would say, just let it be what it is, without reacting to it. But since most of us have not realized that level of Buddha nature yet, we have to do what it takes to let go of the hold that we have. This is what attachment is, by the way. The Buddha says life is suffering. Suffering is caused by attachment, by separation, attachment, desire. This is what attachment is. It's the inability to let go of our negative emotional reactions so that we can experience the truth of who and what we really are. And don't feel bad about this, because, look, even the Buddha took over 6 years to get it. To be able to let go to that point where he could then live from that experience of total freedom. Okay, Talon says, many things you said are like me, so I can understand. Well, yeah, Talon, I absolutely understand and sympathize. That's why we're here in this circle. That's why you guys come to listen to me, and that's why I continue to learn as much as I can, especially from myself, so that as I learn to release myself, I can help others release themselves. Okay, Katie mentions, or if there are people that are strong and, hold on, and don't have this. Well, yeah, I think that there are some people who don't have those attachments. We would call them the enlightened beings, who are either from the past or who are around in our current world. The people who have realized their Buddha nature, who have been able to drop all of these emotional attachments and reactions, whether through years of devoted and dedicated and intensive practice, or, as in the case of Eckhart Tolle, a spontaneous enlightenment experience that somehow allowed him to just drop it all. But we are all here, those of us who have not had that spontaneous enlightenment experience and feel maybe a little envious. What we need to understand is that's the path that we decided to follow when we incarnated into this lifetime. And that this so-called suffering that we go through is the opportunity for us to learn how to drop it and to be willing to drop it. Okay, Talon, we drop it, then we pick it up. Maybe it takes longer between the dropping and the picking up. Yeah, that's what happens. You know, in any kind of clinical work, the standard or the criteria for clinical efficacy, meaning does a technique or does a particular medication work? There are three criteria for it: frequency, intensity, and duration. And just as an aside, for FDA drug trials, like when pharmaceutical companies come up with a new drug and they say it, you know, helps depression, or it will help heal your ulcers, or it will, you know, do whatever, cure, or not cure, but reduce arthritis pain, whatever it is. The minimum, or the standard for clinical efficacy is 30%, which may not sound like a lot. But if a drug or a technique can reduce the frequency, the intensity, and the duration of any issue by 30%, it's deemed to be successful. And it can be prescribed and it can be sold for that purpose. So anyway, yeah, what we do is each time we are faced with these issues, these challenges that we come through during the course of our day, we have an opportunity. You know, most people just react to them, and they get in a bad mood, and they hold on to the bad mood, and they blame the situation. And they say, oh, if only that situation didn't occur, if only that person didn't do this or that, if only I didn't do something, then I would be feeling okay. And then we compound that by feeling that we have a right to feel upset by what happens to us. We're justified. Don't take away my bad mood. I have a right to be upset. Look at what he did. Look at what she said. But if we can look at what's happening and take responsibility, not for what's happening, but for our reactions to what's happening, that's the beginning of wisdom. That's the beginning of transcendence. That's the beginning of enlightenment, of waking up. It's like you're a big fish, and life throws you a hook with a big piece of juicy bait on it, and you take the bait until you realize that taking the bait is only going to cause more problems. So we keep looking at the things that happen, accepting responsibility, and doing whatever we can, even if it's just being aware that it's a mood and it's passing and I can't let go of it now, but I'm just going to let it be and not indulge it, or using some of the releasing techniques that we learn, and doing that again and again and again. Eventually you decrease the frequency, the intensity, and the duration of all of those issues until you get to a point where they just are not issues anymore. Okay, Neem has a question. I agree that bad times will follow good times, but then bad times, but eventually with our practice will the bad times become less? Okay, I think I addressed that question in what I just said about decreasing the frequency, intensity, and duration of whatever. Yes, okay, good. So I don't have to repeat myself.